Could a Mahomes-Watson rivalry reach the same level as Brady and Manning?
No, it could not. And anyone who says that it could is not really diving into the details, or they're not historians of the game. And that's what I'm going to do in both lanes and give you the actual rivalry that has the most juice. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Let me explain. This is no slight to Deshaun Watson, who has won a playoff game and obviously as a franchise quarterback just got paid. But when you're talking about Brady and Manning, we have to talk about what they were even in their younger years, which is one was a Super Bowl champion before he could even blink, it felt like, and was on to a successful career that ended up being a dynasty continued. We'll see what the GOAT does in Tampa. And then there was Peyton Manning, who was just by all measurables, more talented. By all measurables, just a freak in terms of not just athleticism. I think you get caught up in thinking of athleticism. No, Peyton Manning was the one who became a coach on the field. Peyton Manning was the one who was so cerebral that plays that were called actually came to life on the field through some of his checks and some of his audibles. So then Peyton Manning, with all this greatness surrounding him in terms of his talents and his personnel, kept falling short in the playoffs. Reminds me of somebody else out there, Lamar Jackson. And that's why I think that rivalry has the most juice. What is Deshaun Watson and the Texans? If you go back in the days, there was another team that was trying to get into that rivalry conversation and always fell short, the San Diego Chargers. Deshaun Watson is Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers, trying to be that third team that's going to get propped into that second seed to go out there and face the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're saying that this is the best rivalry, it's because you're not really looking at the best rivalry that exists. It's that 14-2 team that fell short, that what Peyton Manning and the Colts used to do, and finally they met at the top. And let's see those two greats go at it.
That's very strong, and actually it's hard for me to disagree with. Well, let's go. But I have to disagree with it anyway.
Oh, really?
No, I think that there's a chance it will have the same sizzle. I don't think it'll have the same significance. So I'm a rock with Marcellus to a degree. I think it'll have a lot of the same pop. It'll have a lot of the same juice. But the limiting reactant is going to be Deshaun Watson. And if we're being real honest, the limiting reactant is going to be Bill O'Brien. Remember, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, from 2001 to 2018, there are 9 Super Bowl appearances for Tom Brady and 4 for Peyton Manning. 13 out of those 18 years in the Super Bowl, you was either going to see Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I don't know if we're going to see the same thing from Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think that's any fault of Patrick Mahomes. The question is, how long can Deshaun Watson continue to win in spite of Bill O'Brien? I think that Deshaun got the juice. We know talent-wise, he is a top generational type of talent. Patrick Mahomes, he's already proven that. But when you talk about what Tom Brady and Peyton Manning meant, you really watch that game realizing, yo, whoever wins this one, they go into the Super Bowl. If they met in the regular season, it was whoever wins this one, they are the favorite in the AFC. For it to ever have that kind of significance, for Brady, for Mahomes and Watson to have that kind of significance, the Texans would have to get consistently better. And I don't know if Deshaun Watson can single-handedly elevate the entirety of that franchise on a consistent level.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a no for me as well. And it's because the Texans are the biggest liability in the total equation of creating a rivalry of the level that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were on. And I'll just continue to echo it. When you think about Peyton Manning, you could actually say, without stuttering or flinching or second-guessing yourself, this is the greatest quarterback to ever, and I mean ever, play this game.
Say it.
And when you look at Tom Brady, you're never going to question if he's the most winningest of quarterbacks to ever play this game. But both of those scenarios have to play out with great team mechanics, great team accomplishments. And I think that that's what everybody has said so far, and I continue to agree. It cannot become a rivalry unless the teams are performing at a high level. Tom Brady doesn't become Tom Brady if the teams don't play at a high level. Peyton Manning doesn't become Peyton Manning if his teams don't perform at a high level. So to me, I think that it's unfortunate because Deshaun Watson is a talent and could be that type of guy where you're loving to watch them go head to head. But when making a comparison of two of the greatest ever, two greatest, not not close, not maybe, debatable. They are two of the greatest. To say that they will reach that height of rivalry, I'm very skeptical of that.
Yeah, I mean, beyond team success, let's be football players, which means we snap necks around here. We go for heads right here. Deshaun Watson has not climbed the same heights to the same level as even Lamar Jackson has. So if you're ever talking about what could be the greatest rivalry, you got two young quarterbacks, third year and fourth year, talking about they've already won MVP. So to go to Deshaun Watson, and then you have to look at his team, and you realize that most experts are saying they're not even going to make the playoffs. This is a team that had a lackluster exit out of the playoffs, up 24 points, and then you lose that game. I just don't understand where we're going in terms of trying to make this the rivalry. I know that there are two great quarterbacks playing, but there are so many more elements to making a rivalry, as we just said. Team success, also your individual greatness, especially when there's someone already on the team that had greater team success, 14-2, despite losing in the playoffs at the same round as the Houston Texans. And you got an MVP over there. So if we're going to wedge this thing together, let's do the obvious sometimes. Don't, keep it simple. Go with Lamar Jackson.
Marcellus, to your point, though, if we can quickly pivot, the issue with trying to make the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes a long-term rivalry, everybody's still skeptical of how long will Lamar be able to play at a high clip, because we've never seen running quarterbacks play at a high clip for a long time. So I think where you're trying to see the Patrick Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson rivalry, everybody's saying, okay, we know both these quarterbacks going to be able to play at a high level until they're 35.
Acho.
That's what we're going to
Acho. No, what? Who's been injured more, Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson?
But I'm saying, I agree with you. But I'm saying when people are looking at Lamar Jackson, I don't exactly.
Who's been the least injured of those
Lamar
three?
Jackson. But when you look at
One
Lamar,
game missed since college.
I think you're looking at it through the historical lens of saying, is Lamar going to be playing like this until 35? I think that is why people are trying to make this Deshaun versus Mahomes thing a rivalry. But realistically, it might be a one-sided rivalry. Remember, the rivalries is always a rivalry for the lesser team, and the lesser team right now is the Texans. But the Chiefs, it might turn into like a big brother, little brother type of thing. Like, y'all never really gonna beat us when it matters. You might catch us slipping in the regular season, but it can only be a rivalry if they're both throwing heavyweight blows. Brady beats Manning the first 6 times they play each other. Then the next 11 times they play each other, Manning wins 6 out of those 11. So you were seeing heavyweight blows back and forth. Will we be able to see that from the Texans? That's what I'm not convinced of.
And that's to my point why Lamar Jackson is the Peyton Manning in this situation. He hasn't beaten Patrick Mahomes yet, 0-2. He's only lost 3 regular season games and 2 of them to Tom Brady. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. That's my point. So why are we trying to force some different rivalry going on? Deshaun Watson and the Texans are the San Diego Chargers, who had great seasons, but always found a way to just come up a little short when it came to the Colts and the Patriots conversation. So, look, if you look at this situation for the juice of it, there's no other way to look at it. We need to stop looking at everything through this historical lens and saying, well, Lamar Jackson runs the ball. That means he's going to get hurt. It's amazing that we've heard that for so many years, and that's altered so many mindsets and quarterbacks, how they approach the game. Last, I got to end this with a little story. Peyton Manning, we played against Peyton Manning twice a year in Buffalo, and we used to hear his calls and audibles. This is all before Omaha. He had one called Rambo, and he would say the long play call at the line and then throw Rambo in there just randomly, and it meant run right. So the whole first half, we had the number 1 defense. Rambo, we about to tear this thing up. Whole first half tearing up that run. One time in the second half, he comes out, blah, 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 blah. Rambo.
They went left.
Put it in. No, he went right. Put it in that belly.
It went deep.
Took it out. Marvin Harrison was already in the parking lot, section 6, and threw that thing to that boy for a touchdown. This is just the genius of a Peyton Manning, and we have 3 quarterbacks to select from. I just think Lamar and Patrick will be the best 2.
I think it's a stretch even for Lamar. I hate to say it. I think the only one right now in the running, and I know Lamar got the MVP nod. I get that, and that's a great accomplishment for us early in his career. But what we cannot do, because I am going to stay in the historical lens, and I'm going to live in it, because that's all I really have to lean on my college career, not so much in the NFL. But I'm going to lean on historic in college, all right? So here we go, right?
Go.
The reason why I look at it from the standpoint of Lamar Jackson has to do more outside of that MVP award is because you're talking about 2 of the greatest ever. ever. So when we're talking about creating a rivalry of this magnitude with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, the only one on the trajectory right now, realistically, is Patrick Mahomes. And that's because not only does he show the I guess the latitude, the potential to maybe be considered one of the greatest to ever do it, I'm not sold that Lamar Jackson, as well as he's come out, as fast as he's come out of the starting gate, that he will end up being one of the greatest to ever do it. We're talking 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or 1. They're in top 5 conversations with any quarterback that has ever played this game. You cannot lower the historical value of what all of those other quarterbacks that have had rivalries in the National Football League over the years and take a guess or take a flyer on putting Lamar in there. Right now, it's Patrick Mahomes. Whoever number 2 is going to be has to be able to show themselves and develop that and earn the right to be in that conversation. And I don't even think it's Lamar Jackson yet.
Was that a history perspective or his story perspective? Because it sounded like you were both. Some of the facts and some of the books.
It's both.
Peyton Manning, I played against him, told you twice a year. Peyton Manning first year, 3-13. Second year, coach told us to get him as a rookie. We didn't. He was 13-3 his second year. Third year, 10-6. Point of that is he was 0-3 in the playoffs before he even hit the ground, before he finally started to get some traction in the playoffs. What is Lamar Jackson right now, guys? 0-2. So not even as bad as Peyton Manning, but already he's getting outpaced in terms of a historical perspective of being great when he already has an NFL MVP.
But you can look at history, Marcellus.
Man,
you can look at the problem is that I have the ability to use retrospect on Peyton Manning. We don't have the ability to do that with Lamar Jackson. So that's my point.
I like that point. You're true.